This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. We are glad to have you with us. I am joined by Dr. J. Barth, Professor of Political Science at Hendrix College. Good to see you again, my friend. And we got another round of polling here. We're going to put a capstone on all of this because we've been rolling it out over the last several days. We talked on Sunday's show about the death penalty and some of those results. What's your biggest takeaway from the death penalty results as a whole?
I mean, I think just a summation is just how committed Arkansans are to the continued use of the death penalty. I think, no matter where that debate goes nationally in the years ahead, I think Arkansas is going to remain more committed to its use as late as possible. And so I think we really show our thorough cultural conservatism on that issue.
Yeah.
That's I think the big takeaway there.
All right, let's shift to some of the other poll results that we've rolled out over the last few days. Donald Trump, we asked for his job approval rating. We had seen him at 60%. Last time we polled, which was less than 2 months ago, when he cleared the 60% threshold back in the November election, and he was bumping up against 60 back during pre-election.
Yep.
But he is 53% approval rating versus 39%. Those are still good numbers, a 14% spread there. But he's come down 7 percentage points. What do you attribute it to?
Yeah, I mean, and we've obviously seen some continued dip nationally. What we had already seen that some of that national movement down when we polled last time, but he was holding tough in Arkansas. Seems to have begun to tilt down some. These are still solid numbers. If these were his national numbers, he'd be very pleased. But these are
he'd be tweeting them out.
Yeah, he would be tweeting them out. In fact, he may be tweeting these out. But importantly, what we see when we look at the crosstabs. He seems to have really begun to lose independence a little bit. This is the first time that we see independents actually more negative than positive on Trump. He's still doing very well with Republicans, and actually he does a little better with Arkansas Democrats than he does with Democrats nationally. But I think what we're starting to see in Arkansas, and you and I have talked about this over the years, is that for a good period of time, independents were really mostly Republicans who just hadn't taken that plunge. Now we're really at a point where folks are calling themselves Republicans. The folks who are left as independents are still very mixed partisans, and he's got to hold on to them over the long haul. Right now, they're starting to soften a bit on him.
Yeah, we even saw in those crosstabs, I think Republicans were at 41% identify, which is a very high number there. But we've seen that trend in the last poll or two. All right, Asa Hutchinson sitting at 56% support, 32% opposed to the job that he is doing. Again, very solid numbers for Asa Hutchinson and pretty consistent with what we've seen in all of his polling over his term in office. Yeah,
very stable. Obviously, Governor Hutchinson, had a good session in terms of getting his most of his agenda through, and I think was a kind of a solid, stable governor during the session. It has held up in terms of his numbers. A few interesting things to watch there. Hutchinson is doing quite well with Democrats for a Republican, and he is also doing quite well with African Americans for a Republican.
I have to think the MLK Robert E. Lee holiday split is going to even boost that further.
Yeah, and so I think that he for a Republican probably doing a little less well with the Republicans. To be honest, he does less well with Republicans than does Trump, but he more than makes up for it with some of those other voting groups that most Republicans can't count on.
Yeah. All right. We also survey, which we haven't done in a while because we only do it every once in a blue moon. Just what do you think of the legislature and the job that they're doing, just kind of the institution as a whole? Because I think it's like Congress, you may hate Congress, but you love your congressman sort of thing. But these legislative numbers, 32% job approval for the legislature, 44% disapprove, and then about a quarter, 24% undecided on that. We've typically seen the legislature, at least in recent years, it has had about an 8 to 10 point approval versus disapproval, and we see the reverse of that this time. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's mostly just an era in which political institutions are seen pretty negatively generally. I mean, and these are, if Congress had these numbers, they'd be thrilled, right? I mean, so these are still pretty good numbers. But these, so I think in some ways it may be kind of a carryover effect from some of those sentiments we see about Congress really going to the state legislature. I think individual legislators much more favorably seen by their constituents, I think, as we see with Congress. So I think that that's what's going on. It was, not. There were moments of messiness in the session, as there are in all sessions. Maybe some of those moments of messiness were on some higher profile issues than is normally the case, whether it's guns on campus issue, other issues where there was just a lot of back and forth. And I think I think folks like a little more efficiency sometimes, but the governmental process is not that efficient.
Well, let's talk about one of those messy issues you alluded to. It's the guns on campus issue, which sprawled into something more and then became guns in stadiums.
Right.
By the end of it here, 53% supported this legislative fix to the guns on college campus bill that would prohibit you carrying them into athletic events, as well as UMS and the state hospital. 38% opposed that change there, but that's an overwhelming amount of support. I've been covering the legislature or working up there for 25 years. I've never seen an uglier compromise in all my days. I'm hard pressed to think of one than that guns on campus bill. Went through about 8 different Frankenstein incarnations before it came out.
Well, and then how you had to do this fix at the end, or the legislature had to do this fix at the end, and that was messy, and it didn't make everybody happy. I mean, Republicans, majority Republicans, didn't like that compromise at the end. They would have preferred the more
NRA didn't like that compromise.
So
the people that were opposed to guns expansion in the first place didn't like it. I mean, it was there weren't very many winners in that.
No, and we saw just how contentious the debate became in those last couple of days as well. So, I think that was probably the last glimpse that Arkansans had of the legislature was around that gun debate, which was very well covered. I think that maybe was something that bogs down the overall numbers.
Yeah. All righty, Dr. Jay Barth at Hendrix College. Thanks as always. Good to see you. All right, we're back with more right after this.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, the electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
Oh, welcome back. Time to hand out our prize for this week's Question of the Week winner, Trey Baldwin, famously known on Twitter as @BaldwinAR, is our winner. The question is, what was the percentage of passage of Arkansas's current Constitution, passed in 1874? The final passage of percentage was 76%. There were more than 103,000 ballots cast in that election, and more than 78,600 voters approved the Constitution in October of 1874. 76%. We barely get anything like that these days. Trey Baldwin wins a $25 Starbucks gift card and a Talk Business and Politics mug. Thanks to all who participated in the quiz, and thanks to you for watching today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.